Hi everybody, it's Alexis, and today I'm gonna review for you the brand new Völkl Vöstra V1 Pro to see if this racket is meant for you or not. So in order to review this racket, I'm gonna first talk about the specs, and then we're gonna rank this racket in terms of control, power, spin, and feel. Finally, I'm gonna answer the question, is the Völkl Vöstra V1 Pro a good racket for you? So this racket has some pretty unique specs in terms of head size. This is a 99.5 square inch head size. So basically you can consider it as a 100 square inch head size. So it's pretty unique, but at the same time, pretty average specs. You have a 16 by 19 string pattern, and the unstrung weight is 305 grams. You have a 23, 20, and 23 millimeters beam. So yeah, a pretty small beam, thinner over here to increase the feeling. What is new with this Vöstra V1 Pro? Basically, you have the implementation of the red cell technology, but basically all those technology added to this racket are made to increase the feeling while keeping this racket really comfortable. This racket is strung with Völkl Cyclone Tour 17 gauge at 54 pounds. Now let's rank this racket. So in terms of control, this is where this racket definitely stands out. I would say that what is great with this racket is that you feel like the racket is stable. You have some great racket head speed for 305 gram unstrung weight, but you feel like the beam is pretty thin. What I mean by that is that you don't have any free power with this racket, and so it can definitely show where your weaknesses are. What I mean by that is that if you have some difficulty generating some power, then it might be tough for you to have a great quality ball when you're hitting with the V1 Pro. But on the other side, it enhances your strength because you have a great feeling racket. And no, this racket is not like a C10, you know, a 330 gram, 98 square inch size with like a 19 millimeters beam. This racket can still generate some, but it's quite hard. So yeah, in order to play with this racket, you need to be physically fit and strong to be able to play with this one. Personally, it was weird, but my backhand is most of the time my strongest side, but I had some difficulties finding my rhythm with this racket. So for control, I'll have to go with 9.5 out of 10. In terms of power, you don't have any free power with this racket. I do not mean it in a bad way, but it's definitely control oriented, and so in terms of power, it's quite comparable to a Blade 98. So you don't have a lot of free power. It's not like a old school classic frame. Yes, it is, but like it's not like some classic prestige racket that are impossible to create some power, but power is definitely not a strength of this racket. So for all those reasons, I'll have to go with 5 out of 10. In terms of spin, definitely not a strength 2, but it's not bad. I tend to hit with a lot of spin on my strokes, but you know, it's not enhancing my spin, but it's not decreasing the spin too. So it will just, you know, show you how much spin you put naturally on the ball. So let's say you have a pretty extreme grip, you won't have any problem creating some topspin with this racket. But if topspin is not something that you're doing naturally, then obviously this racket will hit some pretty flat shot. So for spin, I'll have to go with 7.5 out of 10. In terms of feel, I definitely think that it's one of the strongest side of this racket because due to the way that the beam is made, you have a lot of feel, but you feel like this racket is really comfortable, and so that's one of the best blend that you can find on the market. I had no trouble playing with this racket, and actually it could be one of my racket of choice. Like I said, sometimes it's hard to find some weight behind the ball with this racket, so yeah, my recommendation would be to maybe add some weight to this one. But for feel, I'll have to go with 8.5 out of 10. So there you have the overall rating. Finally, I would recommend this racket to competitive players who are physically strong, good player, and that want to have a great racket in terms of feel, to know what you're doing with the ball while having a comfortable racket. Like I've said earlier, I would recommend to put a leather grip and add some weight at, let's say, 3 and 9 to just increase the swing weight of the racket, because the balance is pretty even. So that's why I would just, increase a bit of the weight if you're able to play with, let's say, 310, 315 gram racket. But definitely one of the best racket of the year, that's for sure. And so yeah, hope you have liked this video. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe, and see you next time. Bye bye.